The Willis Tower, rising to the occasion. The Willis Tower represents the city of Chicago's architectural and structural prowess. Chicago has been home to skyscrapers ever since 1884. The Home Insurance Building, located in Chicago, is the world's first skyscraper. In the 1970s, Sears, Roebuck and Company was the world's largest retailer. They wanted to have a large building as a headquarters to accommodate expected growth and for housing future employees. Sears hired SOM, or Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, an architectural firm, to design the building. SOM chose Fosler Kahn as the structural engineer and Bruce Graham as the architect. Kahn was an engineer who did a lot of famous work in Chicago. For example, he was the structural engineer for the John Hancock Center. The John Hancock Center was built shortly before the Willis Tower and was Kahn's favorite out of all of his projects. One day, Kahn and Graham were discussing the project at hand, and Kahn, inspired by the look of bundled cigarettes, came up with the bundled tube system. The Willis Tower was the very first building to use it. Several designs were considered, including a building attached to a hotel. They used the bundled tube design in the end. This system has several large tubes of varying heights welded together. The tubes are so strong that when they are bundled together, there is no need for any additional support beams. The difference in the tube's heights causes the wind load to be diverted around the building. Because of the distribution of the wind load, the building has only ever swayed at most a mere 3 inches from its center. Construction began in 1970. The construction of the tower itself began in 1971. Sears, Roebuck and Company had to buy many properties from several private landowners. Mayor Richard J. Daley supported the tower by offering a very low price on a section of Quincy Court, a street that overlapped the planned area for the tower. Many decisions were made during construction. Architect Bruce Graham wanted to have the building's exterior be made completely out of anodized aluminum. The prices were very high on this preferred resource, so high that they would cause Sears to go beyond their budget if they made the exterior out of anodized aluminum. However, when Graham went to Rome to buy granite for paving stone for the outside pavilion, the Italians also offered granite to be the outside walls. Graham was not fond of this idea, but Sears was, and this saved lots of money. The workers used Christmas trees. No, not that kind of Christmas tree. The workers used Christmas trees, which are large steel beams with steel branches. They were used as makeshift supports. Construction workers worked high up in the air and used tethers for safety. However, some ironworkers believed at the time that being tied down, or using a tether and safety harness, would slow down the workers. Today, not using a safety harness would get you arrested when working in the heights. The ironworkers welded together the major beams on site. There were many ironworkers on the construction staff, but there were also other construction workers who operated equipment. The workers used phones hooked up to telephone wires to communicate between floors. The antennae were built in 1984. They have lights beneath them that glowed certain colors on certain days. A number of television signals and radio signals are broadcasted from the Willis Tower's antennae. This is because, at one time, the Willis Tower was believed to weaken television signals that came from the John Hancock Center. A lawsuit was actually taken up by residents of varying Chicagoland suburbs, suggesting that their rights to watch television were being violated. It was decided by the court that watching uninterrupted television was not a right that the law said one had. Unexpectedly, the Willis Tower didn't have tenants immediately flocking to its doors. Employees of Sears that worked there complained that the dehumanization of the building, or adding in of many of the latest office technologies, made the whole building feel less welcoming. The Blackstone Group, current owners of the Willis Tower, are having the tower undergo a $500 million renovation, adding on extra tenant resources. The Sky Deck, the tower's 1,353 feet high observation deck, sees about 1.7 million visitors per year. The Willis Tower is 1,453 feet tall from the base to the rooftop and is 1,729 feet tall from the base to the tips of the antennae. This is actually the maximum height that the Federal Aviation Administration would approve of the time. The tower was the tallest building in the world for 24 years, beaten by the Petronas Towers in 1997, and was the tallest building in the United States for 41 years until One World Trade Center opened in 2014. The Willis Tower is an incredible construction story. It tells of a partnership between a structural engineer, an architect, and innovative strategies and equipment used by the workers. It tells of the collaboration of SOM, the architectural firm, Sears, the company who provided the money, and the Chicago government, who gave low prices on the land to promote the Willis Tower's construction. The building of the Willis Tower has truly been a triumph for the city of Chicago that has added beauty and height to the skyline.